Alright, so another update on my remix using only sounds from a little porno clip. So everything in this is from that 5-6 minute clip, except for I used a little white noise on the breakdown section. Other than that, everything's from the clip. Let me go ahead and play what I've got so far. I'm about 4 minutes in, and there's a lot that I haven't added to the song, but I'm just trying to get the basic structure down first, and then I'll put in some of the atmospherics or whatever. We'll go ahead and give this a listen, and then I'll explain how I did some of this stuff. Okay, so that's where I'm at so far. And the parts that I haven't really worked in are more of these voice things. I've got a couple things. I got this little filtered percussion. Just that sound there. Got a bunch of reverb hits. Things like that. And then I got more talking and loops.
Me desuruchita. Es la hora de la leche ya. Entonces, vine a tomar la leche.
So this kind of stuff I'm planning on peppering through the mix, but I wanted to make sure the other elements sounded decent before I moved on. So the way I built this this track, I already had a drum programmed, a drum pattern programmed, and then I simplified it. So I had all these to start with. So it wasn't really difficult for me to play each of these here to create an intro. So basically, you got the most simplified part. Then I skip over to this part here that adds extra elements. And then this section here adds a faster hi-hat rhythm. So it just creates a little bit of momentum. And basically, I'll introduce a new element, and then I'll find places where I can back off the drums so that I can bring it back in another section to give it more impact. Another thing that I've done is I've dropped out the lower frequencies on this track so that I can kind of drop in the kick. Even though this has kick here, when it comes from here over to this, you'll notice a lot more thump. So I find different sections to pull out the lower frequencies, and all it is just a high pass at 100 hertz. I wanted it to kind of sound like you don't really miss it that much, but when it comes in, it seems to really fill up the space. So there's a bunch of moments where I'll just use this. The volume pretty much stays the same except for right at the end here where the breakdown comes in. I turn up the volume of the kick and I run it through some reverb right there. So this is really the only section in the drums where there's reverb, and it just gives like a long, a big sound. Easy. The next element here was originally in this drum pattern, but I extracted the chain, which can be done when you're in this area. You could pick a part from within the pattern, right click on it, and extract it, and then it becomes a separate part. And what's really cool, if you've got your arrangement window already sorted out, it'll make a whole new track with just that one element, so you don't have to do it yourself. So I just did that with this snare here, just because I didn't want it in the beginning, and I wanted a way to kind of make things sound like they're building. That's all it is. Then the bass, I have two bass parts that play together. One's a higher part and one's a lower part. Throughout the song, I'm trying to kind of trade off between these two, just to kind of create more dynamics again. The lower part is this here. And the lower part is obviously more of the sub. So in a situation like this, this is only playing the sub, and then this part here will come in. Well, actually, this will be more noticeable. This is playing the high part, and then the sub kind of jumps in on top of it. So basically, you know, just real simple tricks, just to try to keep things interesting. Then I've got an extra track here that's just an extra hi-hat. When going from this pattern and adding it in, it just adds a little element that increases some energy. And also notice that what I did here, I have a faster hi-hat pattern playing here, and when this comes in, I drop it to a more simplistic hi-hat pattern here so that I can then again boost the energy again later in the song. So it's just a bunch of trade-offs here that I'm doing. That's pretty much the drums and the bass. Then we get into some of these other elements. The first element I introduce is just a cut-up vocal. I cut up, you know, to basically just right-clicking on an audio part and then setting it to slice to MIDI. And then it slices everything up, and then I can make my own patterns with it. So that's all it is within the context of the track. And then down here, or let's see, where is it? Yeah, right here is almost more a melodic thing that I made with it. And I might as well just show you this down here. Every so often you get and this down here, by the way, I'm not using this down here, this is muted. So down here, basically what I did was I just copied this note right here. So I just kind of grabbed this, just because it adds a little bit of atmosphere. And then what I did, so I duplicated the track, then erased all this, and then you know, cut this part, and then duplicated it. And all it does is just throw a little bit of delay around. So that's all that's happening. And what I do is instead of sending it to the master, I send it directly to the send. So all you're hearing is the delay. You're not hearing the original sound, because I wanted to soften the original sound so it's a little bit more atmospheric. So just a little tiny element that I added. And then we get into the breakdown, and what I've got here is this little part. And I've got a lot of different effects on it, mainly reverb and delay. So I got ping pong delays, actually a couple of them, just at different speeds. So this one here comes in first, and then I add a second one at a faster speed that slowly creeps in just to build more intensity towards the end here. But basically that's what it is. It's just reverb and delay. And then I kind of create the build up to the breakdown, which is this part here. And all that is I took this note right here, and I'll show you pretty much exactly what I did. I just temporarily deleted these notes, so I just have this. And then I added a reverb to the track. I created a new track, which is this one, and then I recorded that with the trailing reverb. This probably went a little further, actually, so I probably would have deleted. that much. And then I recorded it here and reversed it. That's all I did, just one note, run through reverb, recorded and reversed. So here in the middle, I just added this here. I just transposed it up an octave, so this is playing higher, and then I mixed it with the regular one. So basically this is just duplicated so that I could double up in the middle here. Then once again here. So here's the breakdown using these elements. Oh, and also this here is just white noise, and I'm running it through an auto filter and some flange just to give it some movement. And I'll go ahead and play kind of what that is. That's it. So basically I just have a rise in the filter and then a quick drop. So that section sounds kind of like this altogether. And then once again, I copied the first note here, and I just used that and put it on a slightly different timing. Then I added another little part here, you know, on the 8th time, just to kind of give it a little, just a little extra bounce to the rhythm. So it's just this. That's all. And you'll notice that there's a little delay on the note. I did that intentionally just to thicken it up a little bit. Oh, this is it right here. So I took it off of sync and then I just put it onto a time that I thought worked. And no feedback at all and just a little bit of dry. So it just kind of gives a little tail. You almost don't even notice it when it's playing, and that's kind of the effect I wanted. But it just gives it a little more presence. And also what you'll notice is, you know, I went from a really wet, lots of delay and everything on the breakdown, and then I clean it up so when it goes into this section. And then this is cleaned up as well. In fact, this doesn't have that little bit of delay either because I thought it sounded a little better dry. So that's what I did with that section. And it's just reintroducing other parts again. And I think I'm at a point where I'm going to do another breakdown. But first I want to pepper the song with bits of vocal atmospherics and a couple loops and things like that. So anyway, that's where I am with the track. Once again, this was all made strictly from samples within this little clip. So all the kicks and hi-hats and all that stuff, they're not drum samples at all. They're just, I just repurposed vocal nuances or background noise and stuff like that and turned it into drum sounds. So I will give you an update when this thing is closer to complete, and I'm signing off. Hope you learned something.